Yeah, good morning. My name is Pohl from Bismarck. I'm the CMO at Tado. Welcome to the Tado Labs. At Tado we make heating systems and AC smart to increase your comfort and increase savings. And that's a lot of fun actually. And I think it's very fair to say that good design and user experience has always been at the core of what we do here at Tado. So I'm extremely grateful for the people at Creative Mornings to bring so many talented people into our labs. And with this I'd like to hand over to you. Thank you for the show.
Thank you. Good morning, guys. Welcome to Creative Mornings. So for those who don't know us as Creative Mornings, so Creative Mornings is happening currently at 190 cities. It's usually at the end of the month. It was started in New York, and so we are one spot here in Munich. So the location is made possible, as you just heard, by Tado, so we're very happy to be here today. So it's a very exciting spot, very exciting place, and Jens is going to be our speaker today. I have my beautiful, wonderful, amazing, fantastic team here that did a great job. So we're very happy for this opportunity this morning. If you have some spare time, you feel like we are a bunch of interesting people to you, we are always looking for people that would support us, help us out, be part of the team. So just get in touch with us. I'll leave us a message. As we are, of course, in social media, use those fantastic hashtags and put them on Instagram or Twitter. We have every month an artist that is doing the cover design of Creative Mornings. This month is brought to you by Marta Madurera. I don't know where she's from, but it looks fantastic. And now I would hand over to Jens Pohl. So have fun.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. So good morning and welcome from my side. So this is a bit special that we actually, provide the location, and also me from Tado, I do the talk here for you this morning. So I'm head of design here at Tado. I've been actually there from the very beginning. So the day I met the original founders, Chris and Johannes, they had a laptop on the desk. That was the last day of their work, so they were fiddling around with their phones, transferring all the contacts. And that presentation that they had on their computer was named Energy Bob. So this was their idea. And then we worked together on the first project to make Energy Bob a product and give this kind of a little bit of a brand story. And that's when I actually joined, and now we're roughly 100 people. So it's been quite a trip over the past 4 or 5 years. So what I would like to do today is talk about what we have learned so far, or what happened along our way, and what is maybe useful for you as well. And I want to talk about connected products. So just to get an idea, who I'm talking here to, because maybe we need to have a little more depth than I originally thought. So who actually has a perfect understanding of what a connected product is, and maybe could at least name 4, 5? Raise your hands, please. That's beautiful. There's one in the back. All right. So the question 2 and 3 would have been: has anybody a connected device at home, not including your phones, your tablets, your computers? Okay, there's 3, 4. Beautiful. Except for the Tado guys in this room, is anybody on a professional level involved with the creation and the design of connected products? Okay, at least also 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. So the general topic for this month is magic, and once we talked to Creative Mornings, what would be a good opportunity for us to have a talk. I looked at the list of topics and I thought, okay, magic. This is our topic. This is what we try to do with our connected products. And this has, of course, a history. So I don't know who of you grew up in Germany, but I'm a child of the 80s. So, and this is what we had back then. This is like a Zauberkasten, you know, it's a box, comes from Ravensburger. You do all kind of games. And there's anything in there that you need, you know, to become a magician, you know, and to give a little show for a family party or whatever. So this is what I did. Actually, you know, back in the 80s, I didn't get a new one, so this was actually the version from the 70s. So it was a bit rotten down. My mom got it at a flea market. But this is what I did, and I kind of liked the idea of being a magician. But this was less about the actual tricks, you know, because they were kind of on the level, you know, taking a pen and moving it and you know, pretending this is liquid or this is, you know, bendable. It was more about kind of entertaining people and having these moments where people go like, wow, ooh, wow, this is surprising. So I think we need kind of a definition, I need a bit of a frame to set the scope for today. And for me, very plain, magic is kind of a delightful surprise. So when something that you not maybe, you know, immediately expect happens, and that's actually nice, and you enjoy this very moment. So some probably more than 25 years later, we're here at Tado, and I need to quickly, I mean, is anybody here who has not heard of Tado before signing up for this event? Okay, quite a few. So, very brief. We do smart thermostats. This is where we're the most successful smart thermostat manufacturer in Europe. This is kind of our flagship product, which is the smart thermostat in the latest version. A smart thermostat is basically a device that connects to your heating system. In this case, to the actual boiler that you have down in your in one of the rooms, or if you have a house down in the basement. And this little device connects to your heating and connects to the internet. And this allows you to have a control from your phone, and with our service systems and algorithms create some of the magic that I'm going to speak about later. So there's a second product now, just having been introduced at IFA, which is in case you have not your own heating system. You know, if you don't have any, in Germany it's called Gasetagenheizung. If you do not have one of these orange Wiesmann boilers in the basement of your house, you probably, or very likely, have one of these radiators in your apartment. And for these, we now do smart radiator thermostats. So same principle, these connect to the internet, and they are connected to our service and to the app. Unlike many connected products, and I'm going to talk about this in a second, it's not about just having the connection to an app and basically remote control the device from wherever you are. This is more, oh, I see the screen is in German. This is more about, as I said, creating magic and, you know, taking basically chores and cognitive load off the user by doing something for him. So in our case, what we do is, once everybody has left the house, so once all the people living in an apartment, living in a house have left, we turn down the heat. Not all the way, we don't shut it off, but we go to a deeper level so that you don't waste any energy while you're not at home. And then, so this is what it says here, Tado regelt seine Heizung herunter, wenn der Letzte das Haus verlassen hat. That means Tado turns down the heat because the last person has left the house. So in this case, it has turned down to 17 degrees. We also have a little bit of radar here. You see the house. Everybody, Tom, Laura, and me, we're outside of the house. And what happens now is, once the first person is on his way or on her way back home, heating starts heating up again. And once you arrive at home, it's warm again. So this is kind of the underlying principle that we do with our product. And of course, if you are away, you can anytime you know, set the change your temperature from your phone. But this is not the core of the product. So 11 o'clock last night, it was 6 lessons, and I thought, magic, let's do 7 lessons. It's 7 lessons about connected products today for you. all I'm saying here is a bit, let's say, temporary and liquid, because these connected products are a field that nobody so far has really figured out. So this is actually a book you can buy on Amazon. It's from O'Reilly. It's a beautiful book. It's called Designing Connected Products. And I recently got it into my hands and then found out that there's quite some pages about Tado. So there's people, scientists or researchers and designers actually thinking about how to design connected products and using others as well, but including us, as case studies. And they have been very reflected about the things that we do, which, to be honest, some of it we just did intuitively, without being too reflected about this. So this is actually for me today is a bit of a good, occasion to reflect about our work here. So, but what I'm saying is, it's a very fast developing field. It's not really figured out yet. There's a lot of products that claim to be smart, connected, whatever. They are somehow, but not really. And nobody has basically so far found the holy grail. Lesson number 1. It's not just about connecting a product. This is what I touched before. If you have a washing machine or an oven. Is anybody from BSH here today? No? Okay. So, and you just, basically set up an internet connection and connect your oven or your washing machine to an app. That's kind of a connected product. It's kind of an Internet of Things product. But the value is quite limited, because it basically gives the user some more things that he can do, but not necessarily, makes his life any easier. Because especially in these two cases, where's the benefit if I can basically set my oven to 200 degrees, I don't know, from my car when I'm on my way home. So maybe if I want to put in a pizza, it takes me 10 minutes less to heat up the oven. That would kind of be a benefit. But I'm not sure if this justifies to have a connected oven that is whatever, some 200, 500 euros more. So this is not just about connecting a device that formerly was not connected and connected to an app. It's more than that. Number 2, it's not about the hardware. And this is for the people, of course, we have hardware, right? If I lift this here, you see some shelves and there's products that we're shipping. We're actually shipping boxes. So we're not just having an app in the App Store, we're shipping boxes. That means, of course, to a certain degree, we deal with hardware. But this is not the main focus. So if you ask me, we're not a hardware company, we're a software company, because this is where we create the value. It's not about shipping boxes. Traditionally, the business model of hardware manufacturers was they create a product, they build a product, they design a product. In this case, one of these very dirty, not dirty, but ugly old thermostats. They put in a box, they ship it to you, they leave you with this product, and they're done. So for us shipping the box, you opening the box is just the start, because we want you to sign up, create an account, connect your device, connect your app. And this is where we actually create the value for you, not just shipping a box. Of course, there's certain requirements. We need to have a certain design level for our hardware. It needs to be intuitive, display needs to be nice, whatever, all these things. But this is not the focus. The focus is here. Create an account, let the magic happen. As I said before, we want to do something for you. We want to turn down the heat once you leave the house. We want to turn it on before you come home in order to make you feel comfy, in order to have you not to think about these things. Lesson number 3. In brackets, traditional interfaces become less relevant. So this is a US competitor that I found on the internet. It's it's basically Nest, they started kind of the same time as we are. They are the leader, of course, in North America, and have billions to spend from Google to create beautiful marketing campaigns. And of course, I have to say, they're doing a beautiful job. They have a beautiful product. What I'm saying here is that from our perspective, these traditional interfaces, high-res touch screen, whatever, they have a wheel to turn, is not what's going to be important for connected products. So, little story from our product. What you see here on the left side is the first version that we built of the smart thermostat. Actually, we called it connector kit. It did not have this LED matrix that you see on our current product. It was basically a plain white surface, had a logo, had a rescue button, and a pairing button, and an opening for the air to flow in. So because we thought we're beyond this, you know, we have seen the thermostat, the old school thermostat before, and we thought, okay, we're doing everything different. It happens in the app, you know, it happens on your phone. You don't need a device on the wall that you can interact with. We just need a small white box connecting, enabling basically this magic that we want to create. And then we found out people didn't like it. People wanted an interface. People wanted to sell it to their wives, because it's mainly men in the beginning, if you have an innovative product buying, and they wanted to tell them, okay, wifey, no problem. If you're too cold, press the arrow up and it gets warmer. It's like the old thermostat, just a bit different. They didn't like the idea of not having any control on the physical device. But we're still convinced that our path and our basic idea is right. So that's why we did a very subtle interface here. So it's a white box for 99.9% of the time. There's no interface visible. Only if you press this one button here, the display will light up and actually reveal the current temperature and allow you to set the temperature in that room. But this is still subtle, right? In the first place, it's still a white box on the wall, not claiming any attention from you. But if you want to interact, you can. And these traditional interfaces more and more become obsolete when you look at things like Amazon Echo. So Echo is launched now in Europe. It's going to be there in a few weeks. We have a few of these up in the second floor. It's a beautiful thing. You have a very powerful microphone here. You can, you know, from one end of the room, you can shout to the other end of the room, or just speak in a normal voice and say, okay, I'm cold. Alexa, you know, turn the temperature up to 22. So we're more and more getting into a stage where we have very natural interfaces, you know. Instead of opening my app screen, you know, or my phone screen, going to the app, pressing temperature up, down. Instead of going to the device, activating it, pressing temperature up, down, I can just talk to my devices in the room. I don't have to, you know, go to any display. I don't need any displays anymore. So in the end, it's about creating this ubiquitous experience without having to actually manually interact with any of the devices. This brings me to number 4. We're building an assistant, not a slave. Think about this for 2 seconds. The difference between an assistant versus a slave. The assistant is somebody that works in the background for you, that knows you very well, that takes chores off you, that thinks ahead, that maybe surprises you at some point, you know, with a decision that you did not plan or did not anticipate, because he knows you better than maybe you do, because he's more conscious about your needs. A slave does exactly what you tell him to do, because otherwise he gets punished, right? So you tell him, turn the temperature to 22, and he does this. And he does this no matter what. The assistant maybe, you know, thinks, okay, you said 22, but I have a better idea. So we get to these problems later. But assistant is taking care of you. Assistant is taking care of you. Maybe knows better in some cases. It's not a slave executing whatever you said. And I touched this before, it's all about interconnecting. There's the story of, you know, back, I don't know, I think it was in the 90s, that, you know, you heard of a house that Bill Gates, back at that time, the richest man in the world, was building. And that house had amazing features, like you walk down an aisle, or you go to one of these guest houses and you walk along these aisles. And as you walk along, the light magically turns on, your favorite music, your favorite is played, your favorite paintings are projected onto the wall. So creating kind of this ubiquitous experience. This is not something that especially I think is super interesting, but you know, the thought of this is very interesting. So you have these Sonos sound systems that basically in theory, there's a beautiful video explaining it, and in the reality it looks a bit different, but where your music follows you around in the apartment, right? So you change the room, you go from the kitchen to the bedroom, and your music magically follows you. And this is a very good metaphor, you know, for an ubiquitous experience where the things around you magically adapt to you. And this is not just about one product, right? So one product alone probably can never create this experience for you. But this is about interconnecting products. So this means that all the products that have an internet connection work as a sensor or an actor. And if all the sensor data, including your wristband, you know, including your Fitbit or whatever you're wearing, including the data of your phone, including in the future the data of your smart car, anything that can deliver information can contribute to this ubiquitous experience for you. And these devices do not necessarily need to be from the same manufacturer. They can be from any brand, you know. They just need to kind of interact with each other. And there's beautiful platforms already out there like IFTTT, where you can basically, any device that has a web interface, where you can connect this to another one. So Tado is also on IFTTT. So you can set scenarios, including other devices and other platforms. The basic message is just, do not close it up. Do not do anything like Bosch did recently, you know, creating their smart home system where you have to, you know, get some kind of certification to be part of the system. But, you know, just have open APIs and have open access to your products to allow people to create these experiences. Number 6. So these 5 first lessons, you know, you could have written down probably not 10 years ago, but maybe 5 years ago, you know, with the first insights from the market. So this is very, very much the ideal world. And then it's a bit like, you know, designing something that you have not tested before. Now you confront these ideas with reality, and this is of course what we did from very, very early on, because we were selling, or we were trying to sell products. And then you learn that people either do not want what you're doing or are not ready for this. I prefer to think the latter one. So I said before, it's not about control, it's not about the hardware, and this is actually a rendering of our future point of sale display for Germany, which we will see in all these Obis and Hornbachs and whatever. And what we're saying here is, your heating in your hand, which is code for control your heating from your phone, because we have a very big phone and your heating. So you get control from your phone over your heating. So we're saying this is control. You can get control. And we're selling hardware boxes, of course, because we're in retail. The reason behind that is that in the adoption curve of technology, you know, you always have these early adopters, the people who buy first, who search the internet for new things, want to try them out, who are not bothered by, you know, by products that are not perfect, that are not beautiful. They just want to, you know, have the latest shit. They want to try out things. And most of these people, interesting enough, so this is a real lesson from what we have seen, they're very much interested in control. They want to have full control. They have a very clear picture of what they want to achieve with your product. So they want a CSV export from all the data. They want to basically track the room temperature in 5 different rooms for 24 hours over the course of 5 years and get some statistical data that they can work with. They want to have full access to their heating system from anywhere, anytime. They don't care about magic. They just want to set temperatures. And that's what we're giving them here. We're telling them, okay, this is what you get. You get a control device that controls your heating. But this is kind of just the entrance barrier. So because then once people, you know, have discovered the functionality that we offer them, even these control freaks kind of loosen up and enjoy the idea of not having to set static schedules, you know, where they say, okay, Monday I'm coming home at 5, Tuesday at 6, make it warm at that time. Then they realize, okay, on 60% of the Mondays I'm not home at 5, I'm home at 7. So there's 2 hours of wasted energy. So why not let the system, take over and turn on the heating once I'm on my way home? So, but this is a process, This is not their original mental model. So they have to get used to this. And in order to sell products, in order to hook them, we're still, as the product is quite new, as there's mainly early adopters buying still, this is kind of the message that we're having out there. And of course, we're giving them reports. Maybe to a degree where it's even too much for the normal user, but that's fine. They can basically go in the report, and for every minute of the day they can find out what the exact temperature at home was, but we're not giving them CSV export because we still believe in this vision of this magical product, and we're not this Death Star control board that people want to have. Number 7, and the last lesson. I touched it earlier. It's about predictive analytics. So at the end of the day, the smart assistant is living off predictive analytics. So this is what we experience basically every day, and we love it. Once I type in, when I'm in Munich, I type in whatever 76 Lee, it shows me Lindwurmstraße, and it doesn't give me Lindholmer Straße in Berlin. It's reacting, it's collecting the data, and has a statistical model of what might be relevant for me in this particular case. And this is Lindwurmstraße in Munich and not Lindenholmstraße in Berlin. So we love this. This is, I checked last night, this is kind of the recommendations that I get on Amazon right now. So I have a second child on my way. So this is fine. We had a birthday party recently, so this is also fine. I'm not sure about these candies, because my wife, doesn't allow any candies around the kids, so I have to eat here secretly my candies at work. But that's fine. That's Amazon, right? So some of these are useful, and if there's one that's not useful, I don't care so much. There's of course ways, where you can say click on it, and Amazon somehow explains to you why this is shown in your recommendations, and then you can turn it off or whatever. But if there's a wrong recommendation here, it doesn't bother me. Nothing bad happens. So they have whatever. They may be 80% right, maybe 70, maybe even 90%. That's good. That's fine. If you have the difference between the Google that I showed you before and this one is they're not devices behind it that actually act on these predictive analysis. So what we do is, in the end, we're an actor, right? We're changing the temperature. And to be quite frank, 90% is not enough. 90% certainty that you're doing the right thing, changing the temperature, doing something for the user, is for a connected product not enough. Because then you have 10 cases where it's just not doing the right thing, and users get frustrated and start hating your product because they don't understand what's happening. So this is actually, it's a lesson, and it's a constant challenge for us to work on. So of course, we're trying and we're testing out things. We want to learn. We want to improve the experience. We want to think ahead. We want to make it as easy and comfortable for you as possible. But it's, as I said, thin ice, because it's very risky. We need to be very sure before we do anything that the user does not get frustrated because he doesn't understand the decision of the system. And this is still in the stage where we're not super confident that this is in any aspect working properly, and we can release it to our users. So this is ongoing, and it's a very, very big challenge. And but there is, with our product, you've seen the app screen before, there is certain moments, and we see feedback from customers when they experience that for the first time, that actually they can track the temperature. They don't trust the system in the beginning. When they see, okay, it's turning down, I have just left, and they enjoy it. They love it. Before they, there's some freaks, that go through, run around the apartment and turn down every single radiator when they leave the house. And the moment they don't have to do this anymore, they're delighted. This is beautiful. This is happy. And this is also for me as a designer and with my team and the engineers. This is kind of the moments that we live for. This is actually then the moments where we at least a little bit create this magic. Yeah, and that's all from me for today. I have an email address if you want to share some thoughts about today. We're hiring. we're growing our team, and if you feel that creating magic for people with connected products might be something that you're interested, we're looking for a senior user interaction designer that might want to join us on that trip. And the last picture is, because it's a startup, and I think you were waiting for this, of course it was a trip, and in the beginning we had a hardware box and whatever, so I kicked this out because it didn't fit in, so it's here. This is the first version of the Tado that we have built, some 5 years back. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anyone is having a question to Jens, now's the chance. Come on, people, don't be shy.
I have a question.
Yes.
Tado, T-A-D-O.
Yes. I don't know if you have ever gone through a process of choosing a name for a brand or whatever, but I can tell you we had whiteboards of some 400 ideas on the wall, and nothing ever fitted. And then, actually, sadly, this was one evening where I was not part of this. They went to a Japanese restaurant, and they were, reading up and down the menu, finding words and connecting words and whatever. So there's basically two words. One is tadaima, which means, it's Japanese and means kind of I'm home. And then there's a second word. This is a little more complicated. Start with do, and this is like welcome home. So these two connected and made Tado, and it just sounded good. The E domain was free. The .com we had to buy from a Korean farmer for some 10,000 whatever in cash. So we had a guy, flying over, bringing him the money, getting the domain. Yeah. Our investor was not impressed.
What do you do to prepare for the future? I mean, the life of the radiator is maybe over soon. The new houses and the new apartment gets heating in the floors. Mm-hmm. It takes more than just a half an hour to get them heated.
Yes, that's right. So we're actually compatible with underfloor heatings right now. So the smart thermostat is connectable to underfloor heatings, and we're doing this. And of course, it's a different story. It needs different algorithms because, as you said, it needs a longer time to heat up. So we even need to be more predictive in terms of what's going to happen in order to save energy and stop heating earlier in order to save energy. So we're doing this, and I can tell you it's a tough job to adapt these algorithms. Just turning on a radiator from 0 to 5 to make it warm very quickly, easy. But to predict these heat up times of underfloor heating, much more complicated.
With all that knowledge about connected products, are you planning on releasing some more home connecting products in the future?
Mm-hmm. So what I can tell you is we're not doing cameras. We're not, because there's a lot of competitors to doing cameras. We're not doing smoke detectors, but we figured that for us, we stay in the space that we know, and which is climate control. But we're going to grow our services in that area. So as I said, the hardware is just an enabler, and we're going to help you more and more. We're beta testing this very big scale right now, sending you the installer if there's something wrong, without you having to worry. So because, it doesn't help if you send you a message, hey, your boiler sends an error message, and leave you alone with this. So we're going to recommend an installer that knows your type of boiler, that is around, and that can schedule in, to get to your house in the afternoon, so you don't have to organize anything. These kind of things, services on top of the product, staying within our vertical space, which is the climate control.
You were saying at the beginning that you learned something about your product and then you adapted that. So are you also doing bigger user researches? And then a little bit also. Second question, is there any difference how this product is used here in Germany and when you go down south? Because you said Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're living for this. You know, this is kind of what we try to establish as the designers. You know, we need to test our things. We need to eat our own dog food. And we're doing this big scale now. So, for example, the radiators we're putting on the market this year, but they have been in houses for 8 months now. So basically, the whole last winter, they have been active, and we learned and improved over the summer. And you know, it's not we're a startup, but we cannot just, you know, shoot out products and see what sticks when we send it to the customers. This is what we did the first 2-3 years, and now we're getting into a mode where we test extensively before we release something, and that works quite well. And south of Europe, so I actually I did not mention our third product, which is the smart AC control. So I think you have on the Alexa picture, you've seen one of these split units that you find in Greek, Italian hotel rooms. We can also control these. You know, they have a remote control usually, and we have a little device, looks out like our smart thermostat, just has a, oh, I can't go back there. But it has a black infrared strip, sends infrared signals, you put on the wall, same principle, but for the for the air conditioning systems.
The guy in the red pattern shirt.
What do you say to people who say, I actually like your product, I like the advantages, but I'm very critical, I'm sending my data to the internet, because at least in Edward Snowden, we all know that not everything I send there is private.
Yeah. That is a trade-off. That is a trade-off, and you have to decide for yourself whether you want to do this or not. So, to be quite frank with you, if you have, I guess you have a smartphone, it's either from, you know, it has an Android system or it's iOS, and Apple knows that every point in time where you are, so does Google. But they're not interested in you, especially as the red pattern shirt. They're interested in the crowds of people. You know, if there's whatever 10 people stuck in traffic, they know there's a traffic jam. They can report this back to Google Maps, and you know, okay, I need to take a different route, or it's going to recommend a different route because of these 10 people. Same with us. You know, we're not interested in Tom, Laura, me, or whoever. We're interested in the big data. It's not about this individual person. But of course, to achieve this, you know, the individual person has to basically send his or her data. But we're not dealing with these individual data points. But you have to make this, it's about comfort, right? So if you have your phone and you have location service activated, it makes it easier for you to find a Drive Now nearby, or to find a MVG bicycle, or a Deutsche Bahnfahrrad, or whatever, or find the nearest station. If you turn this off, you might look a bit longer. So it's comfort versus security. But it's not about actually having a security breach, because of course we try to make sure for our users as good as possible to protect their data and use safe service in order not to release any of these data, or, you know, to leak any of these data.
So I guess there's a lot of Tado people around, so find them. Usually they have a gray shirt, it's Tado written all over it. So go and talk to them. So thank you, Jens, again. And the next Creative Mornings will be at the BMW garage. The topic is transparency. You will find all the details on Facebook, or come and find us. So we are happy to answer all your questions. So thank you, have a nice day, enjoy your weekend, guys.